Hi there, welcome to Kneppy Invest and welcome to another answer and reply video where I get to answer your questions and reply to your comments to the best of my ability. And sometimes my ability can be quite lacking. And sometimes in these videos, I learn a fair bit because you do raise companies that I've never even heard. And that is true in today's video. You have raised quite a few companies, given me quite a few companies to look at that I have never looked at before. In fact, some of these I've never heard of before. So at the end of today's video, hopefully, I'm a little bit more knowledgeable about a few companies that are out there, not only on the ASX, but also on some other exchanges around the world. Now, it is Saturday, 6th of December, 2025. Time is currently 9:47 a.m. It is going to be a fairly warm day on the mid-north coast of New South Wales. Not quite warm yet, so let's get a move on because in the afternoon, this particular room can get quite warm because the sun shines in through the blinds and it does warm up a fair bit. So not quite warm now. So let's get stuck into it. And I also prefer to record videos in the morning. Yes, I do prefer to record videos in the morning. In fact, I prefer to do most things I do in the morning when I'm fresher. Yeah, there is a reason why I prefer to do videos in the morning. Anyway, let's go back 7 days ago to TTTN1DP, who just mentions that EZZ did have the AGM on the 28th of November. And the reason this was raised by TT is because EZZ share price dropped a fair bit. Now, the share price of EZZ started to drop on the 27th, so the day before the AGM. That's a little bit dodgy because TT mentioned here the chairman was up for re-election, but withdrew resolution at meeting and has departed. Only reason given was after careful consideration. Is that really the reason why the share price of EZZ dropped? I think it was almost 20% on the day before and then just kept on dropping. Yeah, 19.5% on the 27th, dropped 8.6% on the 28th when they had the AGM, and then 6.18% on Monday, 5% on Tuesday. And there is a chance that the sell-off has been overdone by the market and it is significantly oversold. Particularly, you can see the volume really lighting up through the week. So a potential trade here for EZZ with the expectations there might be a bounce because this is oversold. Now, all the AGM material this company released was not price sensitive, so I missed it all. So you can see results of AGM and resignation of chair. So is that the reason why the market sold off? I don't know, because this was the day after the initial drop in share price. And I'm going to say I think EZZ should have received a price query from the ASX. This is probably the perfect situation when a company should receive a price query because they didn't release anything significant and the share price plunged. So, yeah, ASX, hello. I won't say they should be doing their job, but this would have been the ideal situation for a price and volume query. And now there is a bit of support just below where the share price is, and that is at about $1.30 or so, $1.25, $1.30. Share price is just above that, but I think this could be sort of a candidate for a nice little bounce. But the question has become, how powerful will that bounce be? We haven't seen a bounce over the last few days. We did see a bounce on Wednesday, was it? Yeah, up 6.93, but that bounce was fairly weak. Okay, so thank you for that, TT. Gave me some information that I did not actually realize. And also, thank you to Mr. Vet Powell. Findi, FND, released half-year results after market was already closed on Friday. And I completely missed this. So I would have gone away from my computer on Friday afternoon, and on Monday morning, I typically, in the morning of a weekday, I go back and look at the previous afternoon and evening's announcements, and I do not do that sometimes on Monday. So I completely missed Findi's results on Friday, but they actually were received okay, maybe relatively well by the market. And the reason I say that is because the share price actually did go up the next day. And let's go to Findi. Share price did go up 3.33%. Actually, let me see if they did release that. So they released it at, oh no. Funny enough, they did release it. Yeah, so that 28th was the Friday. So we don't know how the market has reacted to this because they've been in a trading halt ever since. And I can't remember why they're in a trading halt. That's probably another reason why I've missed these results is because they haven't been trading since. So they're in a trading halt because there is a strategic investment into the company. So that sounds pretty good. In relation to a strategic investment into the company after they did release results, I had a look at the results and I thought, after seeing this comment, and I thought they're okay. And particularly if you have a look at their forecast for financial year 26, expecting over $100 million of revenue, EBITDA about 10.2 million, and underlying EBITDA about 19 million. And the second half, they expect it to be significantly better than the first half in terms of EBITDA. And also revenue should be climbing a fair bit as well. So I'm wondering if this was a nice little, wouldn't say upgrade, because I have no idea what this company was forecasting, if they've actually released any guidance in the past. If we can go back, here we go, financial year 26 guidance on the 21st of October. So we can actually see if this is any sort of upgrade or downgrade from the company, because I haven't really looked at this in depth. So 4-year operating revenue expected to be between 100 and 105 million, and now they're saying 103.9 million, and EBITDA between 10 and 12 million. That's around about what they're expecting, maybe towards the bottom end of that particular range. So definitely not a significant downgrade or upgrade. If anything, a slight downgrade when it comes to operating EBITDA, because it's towards the bottom of the their forecast range. But that reason they're going into trading halt does look interesting. They did release these results after market had closed on Friday. That can be sometimes perceived as a bad thing. They're trying to release the results so most people miss it. And I missed it, so possibly it does work. But generally it doesn't work, because at least some participants in the market will see it if it is perceived as being negative. But we don't know at this point in time. Okay, let's go back to, and thank you for that, Mr. Vet Power, because I completely missed those results. Just Acronym says CSL seems to have turned a corner. Let's have a look. Two of you gave a thumbs up. Let's have a look for CSL. I do actually think CSL is quite cheap at these levels, but I have not bought any. I won't say it's turned a corner just yet. Now, there's one reason to be a little bit more optimistic than anything. There's no reason to be absolutely pessimistic right now. And the reason I say that is sometimes when share price or company releases something really negative, the share price then continues to fall after that. We saw that with CSL after 19th of August. And they released something negative on the 28th. I can't remember what that was. And that must have been an upgrade, not an upgrade. That must have been a trading update, maybe on the 28th at the AGM. I'm just guessing. I was away at that point. I must have missed it. Or I just forget. My memory is not that good. What was it, 28th of October? Yes, AGM. There must have been something negative within that, which the market didn't like. Share price did fall a fair bit on that particular day, but the share price has been going sideways ever since. It has reached the 25-day moving average and has found a little bit of resistance there. And I would say that there would be quite a few investors, particularly long-term investors, who see value in CSL right now, because they're used to CSL having a 40p ratio, maybe even higher than that, and the current P ratio of CSL is 19.6. And I think that's good value, because this company is growing. There is no doubt this company is still growing. Now, the growth may not be as strong as it has been in the past. And even if the growth is weaker, I think in the next few years, we're going to see that growth potentially even accelerate. So this is sort of the worst. You can actually say and argue this is the worst it's going to get for CSL. And now is a time to think about buying some shares if you're not a shareholder. But people just get a little bit nervous. Share prices collapse. It's not a beloved stock anymore, it seems like. But now it could be the time to take a position in CSL if you haven't. And even the dividend yield, not bad at 2.44%, because the dividend yield is going to probably grow as well. Not the dividend yield, but the dividends will grow through time as well. Anyway, so I'm not quite there saying it has turned a corner. I probably need a little bit more proof, but I think just based on valuation, this could be a good time to buy some shares. I think I've already done that one. I think I did that last week. Anyway, Kunal Patel says, I've been following your YouTube channel for the past 12 months, and I just want to say thank you. You're welcome. It's been incredibly helpful. I've learned so much about the stock market and continue to learn every day. I was wondering, where do you usually access your overseas market summary before the trading day begins? Personally, I follow Hot Copper's day trading pre-market open thread to check overnight US and commodity prices. The person who starts that thread provides excellent commentary in case you'd like to check it out. I have checked it out. I actually don't mind it. But I do receive emails every single day. Let's have a look. I do receive emails. That's the wrong one. Let's go to my other account. I receive emails. You can see I haven't looked at some of these emails. A nice one I do receive is a market index. So there's an evening wrap. There was also a morning wrap In fact, what I might do is just search for market index, and so they have a little morning wrap here, and they go through what's happened on overseas markets. They go through also, Bitcoin, oil, gold, that sort of thing. The other thing I do is I have a look I do have an app on my phone. I have a look at what's happened overnight with commodities, crypto, indices as well. They also go through some news stories as well. So Microsoft hit by report, Oracle credit fear gouge. Also, geopolitics and trade. President says Trump and Min will be able to replicate tariffs even if it loses Supreme Court decision. Economy, early holiday season shopping data is solid, etc., etc. Retailers lean on wealthy shoppers. ASX today. This typically is released about 8:30 to 9 a.m. Yeah, 8:42 a.m. So they don't get all the ASX news, but sometimes you will see a few companies that have released something, and broker moves. You get that also as well. So some brokers upgraded WiseTech, and corporate travel management has been downgraded, even though it's still in a trading halt. And also key events. You get companies trading ex-dividend, other corporate actions like who's paying dividends, listings. So the other day we had 2 listings on that day, 6K additive, excellent mining. Then we had Saluda Medical. So this was released on the 4th. Must have been the 4th. Yeah, the 4th. You can also read this online if you really, really want to. And I do like the Market Index website. Yeah, the website. So this is one email I get every single morning. There's a few other emails I get as well. I get through the night. If you have a look at the Motley Fool, this is the Motley Fool breakfast news, going through some stories there. And I'll also get, what else? Bar chart. I have a look at bar chart. They release quite a few emails. Net Wealth Morning Brief. This has a lot of information in it, like overseas information as well. So Australian news, and you can click on the links. So world news, click on the links, etc., etc. Go through that fairly quickly. Livewire, Morningstar. Ausbiz also releases an email every single morning. I go through that as well. So I don't mind the hot copper, but I get most of my information just from my emails I get every single day. And I don't go through all these, but a lot of really good information. Anyway, so that's what I do. That's just for me. But I do actually like that hot copper, but I don't look at that every single day. In fact, I look at it fairly briefly, maybe once a week, and then I just move on to something. I just don't like hot copper. But anyway, thank you, Kunal Patel. Okay, let's go back to last week, and I got something wrong there. Hi, Kneppy. It is not equal weight, it is geared. So I put in Q. What did I put in? Q NDQ, which is the beta shares equal weight. And the request was for GNDQ, which is beta shares wealth beta NASDAQ geared complex. And then there was a few comments after this that someone says I have dyslexia. G and Q are not the same. I don't have dyslexia. No, I don't. And then Sensei says I don't have dyslexic. He seems to be doing a lot of things in a short time and perhaps not sleeping enough every night. I required 7 to 7.5 hours. No, I'd get enough sleep. Yeah. So he tends to mix up and confuse things sometimes. No, it's just G's and Q's. So my favorite not my favorite company, but it's GQG. Why is it GQG? Because it has a G, Q, and G. And a lot of times I just want to go QGQ. Yeah, I don't know. It's just G and Q's. I don't know why. I have no idea why. It's just G's and Q's. And you can see I mixed up QG, Q, and DQ, and that has 2 Q's in it instead of G and DQ. Yeah. And I get enough sleep. I have no problem sleeping. I get enough sleep. I don't wake up via an alarm. I've not woken up via alarm for probably 5 years, more than that. I don't need an alarm. I just wake up when I wake up. Anyway, so not tired. I'm going to bed at 9:10. I'm not working at the moment. Still got another 3 months off. Anyway, so let's go back to the geared NDQ. If I had to choose between geared, which is G, NDQ, I wouldn't probably buy it right now just because I'm a little bit uncertain. But if I see a significant sell-off in the market, if the NASDAQ fell 30%, I'd probably go all in for the geared, but this would be an almost no-brainer. If you think about it, but there are risks associated with it. particularly in the short term. But over the long term, if you just add to it over the long term, if you're not that concerned about the market dropping a fair bit, if you're thinking 5, 10, 20 years down the road, I think this would be a really ideal strategy, particularly for those new investors, because you're gearing up. And I have no problems with gearing up in these sort of situations because the NASDAQ will go up through time. I can only think of one index, and that's Nikkei, that did not reach its new peak for over 30 years. That was Nikkei went to its peak in 1989, and it took 30 years for it to get to a new high, or less than that, maybe 25 years. So a lot of times you will see a sell-off in the indices like the NASDAQ, and it takes maybe 5 years to get to a new high. So if you do have that longer time frame, why not? Why not? I'm wondering what the negatives are on this. So I think all the negatives would be in the shorter term, particularly if the market falls a lot, because you will lose a fair bit of your capital. So if, say, the NASDAQ goes down 20%, because you're geared, you're going to be seeing a significant drop in your capital. But again, if it goes back up, and that'll be the worst time to get out. And then if it goes back up to a new high, you're going to see a significant return. And then it keeps on rising to new highs. Anyway, so hopefully that made sense. I'm going to actually just put in a geared. I'm going to ask ChatGPT the negatives, because I'm probably missing a few negatives on a geared negatives on a geared NASDAQ ETF. I'm just going to see if there's any longer term negatives. Leverage ETFs reset exposure daily, not over long periods. This means in a volatile market, up, down, the ETF can decay over time. Even if the NASDAQ ends near where it started. This is called a volatility decay or vol drag. There you go. Something I didn't even think about. So the NASDAQ down 5%, up 5%, 2 times ETF, down 10%, up. Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. But over time, over a long period of time, it shouldn't be as bad as that. Compounding effects, if you're holding for weeks or months, yep. Short term, your returns will rarely match the simple maths. High fees and high funding costs. You don't know the fees. If it's a long leverage ETF, you can lose a large percentage but cannot go below zero, no margin calls. If it's a short or inverse leverage, okay. I still think if you're willing to understand the risk, the short-term risk, or the long-term, it could be beneficial. It could be good. If I hold it for 10 years, is that good? Is that good? Let's see. Look, it says holding a geared NASDAQ ETF for 10 years is always a terrible idea. There you go. Even if the NASDAQ goes up, you can still end up losing money because of volatility decay and daily compounding. There you go. So this did not go the way I thought it was going to go. So this is something I have not thought about. Even with NASDAQ's huge bull run, TQQ had 10 separate crashes of 50 to 95%, fell 95% multiple times, would take decades to recover from each crash. If you bought at the wrong time, you'd still be underwater years later. So there we go. So maybe I've changed my mind. Maybe ChatGPT is absolutely right. Maybe geared ETFs are not that good. Anyway, so there you go. So it's actually beneficial to maybe understand what you might be getting into. Maybe ChatGPT is completely wrong. I don't know. Paul says, hi, Kneppy, AIS. Recently, that's AIS. What's that one called again? Aeris Resources. Aeris Resources. Recently capital raised to repay debt. Copper price has been breaking through $5. Can you share your thoughts about this company long-term future? Okay, so it's a commodity. It's a mining company. And long-term, when it comes to mining companies, for the long term, the way I look at mining companies is they can't be high quality, which means they cannot be long-term holds simply because they are price takers and their performance over the long term is dependent on the commodity price. Now, if you're speaking 50 years, maybe you might do well over a 30, 40-year period. I consider these type of companies more of trading stocks. You ride the wave of enthusiasm when copper prices are right now breaking out. They look pretty good. So now's the time to think about investing in copper companies, but not for the long term, because eventually copper prices will fall, and these companies, you don't want to be in these companies. So for me, Aeris Resources and all mining companies are not long-term holds. They're more of a short trading term, say short to medium-term trades. Anyway, so let's first have a look. That's for me. That's just me. It doesn't mean you have to do that, but that's just me. Now, if you have a look at BHP, over the long term, share price has gone up, but that's I'm not sure if that's typical of mining companies or not. But still, I don't think the returns in BHP are going to be better than many of the returns you're going to get on high quality companies. Okay, so let's have a look at copper first, which I'll also have a look in tomorrow's video. This is a beautiful chart for copper. So this time last week, it was looking like it was trying to break out, and it had broken out. So beautiful chart for copper. So I think last week's technical update video, I was becoming a little bit more bullish around copper. I definitely have become bullish when it comes to this particular commodity. This is a beautiful looking chart. And when you talk about Aeris Resources, I'm glad they repaid that debt, because I did not like how they had this relationship with Washington H. Soul Pattinson. And I thought that Washington H. Soul Pattinson were acting as a predator, if nothing else. Anyway, this is the longer term chart for Aeris. I've traded this in the past. And you can just look at this chart over the last 8 years for Aeris, how it just goes up and down. This is more of a trading stock. Now, just because it's looked like this in the past doesn't necessarily mean it's going to continue trading in this channel. Maybe now is the time to think about buying some Aeris Resources for the short to medium term to rise the next wave up. And then the question becomes, could that wave continue? Well, I think it's dependent on copper prices. So if you look at the daily chart again, yeah, the share price really took off back in August. The other thing I like about this chart is the volume. Look at that massive volume coming in. That's another good sign. So that's definitely, Aeris Resources is definitely a company to put on your radar, because it's a copper and copper looks good. So that's probably another way to look at this. I prefer to look at the commodity chart first and then focus on companies, not the company first and then just ignore the commodity or the underlying commodity. Anyway, the other thing is, I do own a few companies, like smaller resource companies, for get my pen, for a little bit of a longer term, just because I do think they're undervalued. But I have had a closer look at those companies. With Aeris Resources, I can't really tell you much about the company. They do, pretty sure they definitely have copper. That's in New South Wales. They used to have some gold assets in Queensland. I'm not sure they still have those. They bought something in Tasmania at one point as well. So I don't know a lot about the company. So are they that diversified? Are they copper, gold, and something else? I don't know. That's the other thing to look at these companies, is how diversified are they, or are they focused on one commodity? Like if they're completely focused on copper, then you could just have a look at the copper chart and go, "Ooh, I'm bullish on this particular company right now." And I do believe that in many companies, management are really important, really, really important. For mining companies, they're less important, just because the company's performance is ultimately, there is a little bit of management in there, because management can make really, because in my opinion, capital allocation is the most important job of management. And we have seen time and time again in the past, so the last 20 years since I started investing, mining managements have made some really bad capital allocation decisions. I'm trying to think of a recent one. Someone bought, no, actually that was another company. That was James Hardie. That's not a mining company, because James Hardie bought something at the top of the market. And we have seen that in the past, where mining companies bought at the top of the cycle and they should be buying at the bottom of the cycle. And shareholders get really upset if a mining company holds a lot of cash. We want a dividend, that sort of thing. But in my opinion, the best thing mining companies can do is hoard a lot of cash, wait for the bottom of the cycle, and just deploy that cash into distressed assets. That is the way you build up wealth. But I'm not sure if a lot of mining companies do that, or if they can do that. Anyway, so other than that, I don't know a lot about Aeris Resources. Chris and Caroline says, AYA could have just as much potential as 40 Medical after Pro Medicus buy and loan. Don't be ignorant to it just because it's currently a story stock. Pro Medicus was a story stock once as well. In fact, I'd say every single company in the world has started off as a story stock. But the thing is, the vast majority of story stocks never make it. They never make it. That's the sad truth. The vast majority of story stocks don't make it. And it's all based off your risk profile, I think. If you're more willing to take on a risk like a venture capitalist, and venture capitalists know that if they put a lot of money into 10 companies, they know most of those companies are going to fail. All they're looking for is one or two companies to succeed, and they're going to make a lot of money. So that's the other thing you have to be aware is a lot of story stocks don't make it. And if you could become really rich if you put all your money into one story stock and they make it, but you also could lose all your money. And a lot of people lose all their money because that's exactly what they do. But also a lot of people become really rich. In fact, I'd say the richest people in the world right now is because they put all their money into a story stock, and that story stock became massively big. Anyway, so I don't know anything about AYA. It is a story stock, but they could make it. They could make it. I am a little bit more risk averse. So what I would do with this sort of company is just wait until, I don't even know, just wait until they release something where I go, hey, I think this company has de-risk and they're very close to becoming a non-story stock. And the prime example I have of this is, well, just have a look at the chart first. The chart looks really good. It's a beautiful chart. By the way, what's the valuation of this company? It's a market cap of 553 million. So the market is already pricing in that this company will achieve something, because if not, this is significantly overvalued. Now, the market can be wrong. We have seen this quite often in the past, where a company has a really high market cap and the company completely fails, and then the share price just drops a lot. Was it Opthia? I'm trying to think. Maybe it was something else. I'm trying to remember which company had a valuation of like $1 billion and they had an unsuccessful phase 3 and the share price just plunged. Anyway, the great prime example of what I look for is Neuron Pharmaceuticals. I think I point this out a lot. This was the late 2021. I'd been following this company for 10 years. And then on this particular date, 7th of December 2021, they released a positive phase 3 trials. And that for me was a de-risking event. They still had to get FDA clearance, that sort of thing, but this was a de-risking event. The other thing is I had a pretty big deal with someone, with Arcadia. So they were going to get a lot of money. And share price since then has gone up a fair bit. It's gone up 6-fold. So, and people were telling me, oh, why are you crazy buying a day when a share price of a company has gone up 100%? I bought on a day, share price went up 91%. And people were saying, you're crazy. Why are you doing that? Share prices, you're late. You're too late. You have to buy in before. And I'll point out this out time and time again. No, it's not too late. It's not. It takes a long time for this sort of news flow to flow through the market. I did not hear or read about Neuron Pharmaceuticals in the popular investing media for another 2 years. And then I started hearing about this company back in probably middle 2023. That's when I started to hear about Neuron, like Osbiz the core. Maybe it was even early 2024. It took a long time for the news flow of this company to push all the way through. And by that time, share price had reached pretty much its high. Anyway, so so you could be right. This company could make it. Could be the next 40 Medical. It could be. Definitely could be, but I prefer just to wait, de-risk, and some of the returns, my overall returns might be lower if they do make it, but that's the whole point of de-risking is you lose all that downside and you have some upside. But if you get in really, really early, you have a lot of potential downside, but you also have a lot of potential upside. So it's all about risk and reward. Stu Percy says, I was listening to a podcast and they stated the American housing market has stalled a lot due to if somebody sells a house, the next purchase, the interest rate will jump up dramatically, so they don't want to sell. How this plays out, I have no idea, because they have fixed interest rates. Yeah, it's as simple as that. So if interest rates, over there, I forget why they have fixed interest rates. Why does USA have fixed? And when I say fixed interest rates, I mean if you have a 30-year loan, your interest rates are fixed for 30 years, not like here where it's only for like 2 years, and then you go to variable interest rates in USA. Did I word that badly? Why does fixed interest rates in USA? Yeah, it's fairly long. Yeah. So contrast, in fact, funny enough, they've got contrast here. Why Australia does not have long-term fixed or mortgages. I don't know the history of this, and I have heard people say, why does Australia not have long-term fixed interest rates? So if you think, let's go back a few years when interest rates were really low and you bought a house, the interest rates were like 1%, maybe 2%, and they were fixed for 30 years, and then interest rates suddenly jumped up to 5%, would you sell? And the answer to that is, well, not if you could help it. Not if you could help it. So with interest rates rising, then you started to see a little bit more people selling because, like that. Then interest rates started to fall, when interest rates started to fall, you have less of a difference between their current interest rates and the interest rates they could get if they moved on their new loan. So it all depends on where interest rates are and how many people bought interest rate or bought houses on a very low interest rate. So I'm pretty sure that is the answer to your question. They say that housing market has stalled a lot due to if somebody sells their house, the next purchase, interest rate will jump up. Yeah, that's why. With interest rates dropping, you would expect that the housing market will start to pick up a little bit in the United States. Kelly Ma says, what are your thoughts on Beach Energy? Would you be able to include it in one of your upcoming videos? Thanks. Okay, so this is another commodity-based company. So I'm assuming Beach Energy is either, I dropped my pen again. Beach Energy is either oil or gas. And again, let's have a look. Beach Energy. What I might do is just Beach Energy, oil or gas. Beach Energy, oil or gas, or maybe both. Natural gas producer. There you go. Though it also produces oil and LPG. The mix has shifted more towards gas over the years. There you go. 60 to 7% of production, natural gas and gas liquids, 30 to 40% oil. I'm hoping this is absolutely true. So I'm just trying to trust that Beach Energy is mainly a gas company. Now, we have seen a bit of a run-up on gas recently. I'm assuming E-mini natural gas futures is what I should be looking at. And this chart looks much better than the oil chart. So has this been benefiting Beach Energy? Now, again, I don't know anything about specifics of this company, simply because they are an energy or a mining company, and their performance is going to be highly related to how gas prices move up or down. And for me, that means this company is more of a trade. Now, the share price is $1.17. That does seem low compared to what I remember this company's share price being. So it seems like this could be possibly towards the bottom of a long-term range. I could be completely wrong. BP, I have traded this in the past, by the way, and I've never held this company for as long as maybe a few months. So let's have a look at the weekly chart. Here we go. So it has been trading in a range for 5 years. Top of the range has been around just under $2, and the bottom range has been $1, and it's near the bottom of that range. Now, other than that, you could say to me, wow, the company has all these plans in the future, and I would probably say, well, how successful are those plans going to be? So for me, this is more of a trading stock, not a long-term hold, again, because it's a mining company. And if you have a look at the longer-term chart, you can just see over the longer term, well, it's done nothing. If you go all the way back to 2006, the share price were at similar levels where it is now. So over a 20-year period, share price of this company has done absolutely nothing. Again, for me, this is more of a trading stock. And I think just equating mining companies as being low-quality companies, it makes it really easy how to determine what company is going to what bin in terms of quality. So I have a few bins. So high-quality bin, low-quality bin, and then I've got sort of a quasi-quality, high-quality bin. And for all mining companies going to my low-quality bin, or mining companies going to my low-quality bin. Now, if you go to Fiscal AI, I'll show you this, Fiscal AI. Now, you could do it complete. This is what I do. And you don't have to do what I do. You can do whatever you want. You can say, well, I think all mining companies are high quality. You have that right. Now, I do have a screener, a high-quality screener, and you can exclude industries. And I exclude metals and mining and oil, gas, and consumable fuels. Automatic, low-quality companies. So I exclude those industries from my high-quality filter. And again, that's just me. By the way, yeah, the chart, if you just have a look at the daily chart. So for me, this is more of a trading stock, and the chart looks, it's nothing. So even though natural gas prices are going up, this is nothing for me. It's doing nothing. But It's near the bottom of the range. The last time share price got close to $1 was back in September 2024. So it's getting close to that point now. So maybe if it gets anywhere below $1.10, it could be a little bit, you could argue it's good buying. So Rupert AU, what are your thoughts on the announcement by HAV? This is one company I know nothing about. A few weeks ago that they have entered in a partnership with Sandfire as a potential way to play copper. So if HAV is a copper producer, yeah, I would be interested in HAV. The chart has looked good for the last 2-3 months, but would you consider this a longer-term play opportunity based off the announcement? So again, not long-term, more of a trade. Now, if copper prices go up for 5 years, yeah, long-term trade, that's it. Long-term trade, but then eventually copper prices will collapse. And it's understandable why, if copper prices go up a lot, eventually copper prices will collapse. And you have to think about it in terms of supply demand. If copper supply demand. So if copper prices go up a lot, you can actually say maybe the demand will slip a little bit because copper prices are so high, and then people will start looking for alternatives. And then also mining exploring companies will say, wow, look at copper prices. We have to transition from lithium or uranium into copper. So then have more copper explorers out there, and you might see more mines go into production. And then some current producers of copper might actually increase their production to take advantage of the higher prices. So eventually you're going to see a significant increase in supply. And if demand doesn't go up, in fact, if demand drops, you're going to have oversupply versus demand. And then what happens with prices? If you have that sort of situation, prices will collapse. This has had to happen time and time when it comes to commodities. And it's all based off supply and demand, which is why at the bottom of the cycle is the best time to get in, because at that point, you don't have that many companies out there mining a commodity. Prices are fairly low, and those companies should take advantage when the price of the commodity goes up. Anyway, so Havilah Resources. So Sandfire agreement to advance Kalkaroo Copper Gold Project. What is the timeline of this? Now, this is just a copper play, and it looks like a bit of gold as well. Anyway, I'd like to know the timeline, how long before they get into production, that sort of thing. And if copper prices just keep on going up, the share price of this company should just keep on going up as well. So definitely a copper play. Let's have a look at the chart. HAV. What's it called? Havilah Resources. Oh, yeah, look at that chart. So it's gone absolutely bananas. In fact, the share price has tripled in a fairly short period of time. I don't know how I missed this one. So I am going to put this into I don't have, you know what I don't have? I do not have a copper. I should. You know what I might do? Create new lists, copper. And HAV will be the first one into my copper watch list. There you go. And I could put Aeris Resources. And I could put Sandfire. And a lot of you did leave a lot of silver and copper plays in the comment section of the videos I've released in the past week. Anyway, so you said the chart has looked good for the last 2 or 3 months. Oh, that's a spectacular chart. There was a nice little breakout, back here I missed this because I was overseas. Beautiful breakout in late September. It's a beautiful breakout. Share price, you could have got in the next month, and then all of a sudden share price broke out on the 13th of November. Was that, the agreement to advance the Kalkaroo Copper Gold Project. So share price has taken off because of that. Spare Eyebrows says, what are your thoughts on UbiSoft? Zero thoughts, big zero. I don't know anything about UbiSoft. I have no idea what they are. So this is a case of me learning a little bit new about a company. So UbiSoft, not even sure where they're listed. UbiSoft Entertainment, Euronext Paris. There you go. So I'm sure that's the main listing. Ubi. Oh, first of all, the chart looks bad. That's a horrendous chart. Now, is this a high quality company? Without knowing anything about them, share price has been in a funk for 5 years. Share price has dropped from highs of 105 down to $6. That's not good. Market cap of the company is currently 146 million. And what I'm going to do now is just have a look at UbiSoft. Revenue virtually flat, non-existent, earnings per share negative, return on equity. There is nothing here to fill me with any hot, fuzzy, warm feelings, or any warm, hot, fuzzy feelings. I don't know. Let's have a look at the revenue. Revenue flat over the last 8 or 9 years. Not much growth in revenue. In fact, revenue, you could be argued, is going backwards. Profits not doing anything. I have no warm feelings about this company. What do they do? So something to do with entertainment. What does UbiSoft do? Let's go into, and what does UbiSoft do, and why have they struggled? Increasing revenue. Why not? My spelling there is, anyway. Video game developer and publisher, one of the largest in the world. There you go. I am not a video game player. I don't know. I've never heard of Ubisoft. I am not a video game player. I've heard of Assassin's Creed, maybe because they did a movie. I don't know. Tom Clancy's. I thought that was a show. I don't know. I've never heard of any of these apart from Assassin's Creed. Why Ubisoft has struggled to grow revenue? Ubisoft hasn't just had a bad year or two. It's been a multi-year stagnation problem. Here's why in a clean logical breakdown. Repeated delays and cancellations. Fewer new releases, fewer revenue spikes, costs continue while revenue doesn't. Over-reliance on one franchise. Assassin's Creed, there you go. The only thing I've heard of is the franchise they're relying on. So that carries a company, live service failures, creative fatigue and brand decay, huge operating costs. They employ 20,000 people. Wowzers. Competition increased dramatically. Poor monetization flexibility. It just goes on and on. Wows. Anyway, so I'm going to end it right there. I have no good thoughts about Ubisoft unless they show me anything any reason, any proof they're turning things around. Keynes, and that's the first time I looked at this company. So you can actually look at a company fairly quickly, and you could be a little bit wrong. In fact, someone mentioned in my comment section, quick fee, you're completely wrong. No sub for you. Fair enough. Keynes boy. I wonder if this person grows sugarcane, or if they're a fan of the Miami Hurricanes, the college football team. Anyway, Keynes Boy says, great content, Kneppy. I love seeing companies' markups when looking at charts and was wondering if your avatar is covering that info on a trading view. Let's go back to Ubisoft. I'm assuming you mean my face here. Actually, I was pointing to my... and I do look at markup a lot. So here we go. Here it is. So Ubisoft, markup of 846 million. And yeah, so if I do have it down a little bit, it will cover it. So I actually do look at markup a lot, particularly for companies I don't know much about. So markup of this is only $846 million. Havilah, $206 million markup. Aeris Resources markup $400 million, $586, and Sandfire $3 billion, $7.77 billion. Wow, nice chart, by the way, for Sandfire. Anyway, so yeah, definitely look at markups. So thank you for that, Keynes boy. Tommy Plusani for GLNB Resources with high grade and will be production in 6 months. I do like exploring companies that are transitioning to producers. Now, just because they're doing it doesn't mean they're going to be successful, but sometimes they are successful and they do grow. In fact, West African Resources, that's when I got into them. They went into production, bought a position in that company. Share price has increased a fair bit since then, even though, share price dropped recently. In fact, what happened to West African Resources share price after they dropped a fair bit? Did it rally? Yep. It dropped on the 26th of November by 9% and almost has recovered back up. So I bought West African Resources, when was that? It would have been 2020, 2021. I forget exactly what price. I should put it in here. It's a nice chart, by the way. So I do like, and I think it's my opinion on these sort of companies have been twisted because of West African Resources, because I had that was a good buy. It hasn't been completely successful. I bought Hillgrove Resources, which has popped up later in the comment section, and that was bad because they were going into production. I thought this might be good, and that was a bad play, and I sold out of that fairly quickly. So let's have a look at GLN. And again, I know nothing about this company. Galan Lithium. Now I know a little bit about this company. I do know the name, but I don't know the ticker. There you go. Galan, so lithium, bullish on lithium right now. They did release a presentation on the 14th of November. I do like presentations because hopefully this will tell us and confirm that they are becoming a producer soon. The world's next low-cost lithium producer. There you go. Is this... Did they change the name, or was this is this like a merger? Because there was a merger recently between Sayona and something else. No, was it? I forget now. And let me just do this very quickly. Galan Lithium. Merger between. Was it a merger? I don't know. Let me just have a look. I could be completely wrong. No, it doesn't say anything about that. There was a merger with two lithium companies, wasn't there? I'm trying to remember, but I can't at this point in time. Anyway, let's go back to this presentation. Was this in South America? South America, yeah. Market cap is only 218 million, or fully diluted, it's 257 million. A little bit of cash. And if you want to go through management, you can go through management. For instance, managing director has worked at BHP, Rio Tinto, and Codelco. 20 years of experience. Seems good. They're just talking about execution, about their project, mine life, yeah, 40-year project life. What else? World-class resource. Okay, Argentina. Low cost, it says they're low cost. So I'll go through this in a little bit more detail because if they are in production in 6 months and, in my opinion, lithium prices started to turn, I think that's an almost definite. Lithium prices have started to turn. There's a little bit of increase in the lithium sentiment. Lithium sentiment has definitely changed. Why? I don't want to go through history. All you have to do is have a look at the lithium chart. Lithium carbonate. It's a beautiful, setting up like a beautiful chart. This is like just the last 1 year. But if you look at the 5-year chart, massive decrease, and it's started to turn up. And if that sort of trend now continues, a lot of these companies are going to benefit. So let's have a look at the chart for Galan. This could be on my list of lithium companies to buy. So weekly chart, you can just see lithium prices. This follows the lithium prices almost perfectly. So those who disagree with me that mining companies are not low quality, just have a look at this sort of chart. Have a look at any mining company chart and compare it to the commodity, and you'll see there's a pretty high correlation. And yeah, this is a nice chart. One to put on your watch list, maybe. I'm going to put on my watch list right now. I do like this chart. I like this chart. Share price has pulled back a little bit. I love it to pull back to say 20 cents, and that'll be a nice little buy. Okay, Just Acronym says, please rate my thesis. If supermarkets are price gouging, can we expect margin expansion? Yes, so far no evidence of this. There wouldn't be evidence. So the significant increase in supermarket prices I found was at 2 months I was away. I was surprised how much prices had jumped. Maybe they do this all the time, but I was shocked that some prices have gone up 20 or 30%. Now, we won't have evidence of this until we get next financial reports from the supermarkets. If I had to guess, even though I'm saying it, I'm mostly saying it in jest, I would say the reasons prices have gone up is not because of price gouging for the supermarkets. It's for some other reason. Maybe supply prices have gone up, that sort of thing. But there is a chance that maybe supermarkets are price gouging. Maybe they are. Just putting it out there. Maybe they are. Maybe. But there is no evidence of it so far. But we will get proof. If we do see margins increase significantly for Coles, Woolworths. Yeah. Although, yeah, I don't think we'll see that for the next until we get the next results. Fishball says, since you listen to many podcasts, what speed do you listen to at? 1.25. But do you do most of it during? Yes. So, like for this morning, I was out for 3 hours. Took my dogs for a walk. I came back, fed them, then went for a run. Then I did a walk, and I was out of the house for 3 hours. And during that 3 hours, I listened to a lot of podcasts, not just investing podcasts. I listened to sporting podcasts as well. And sometimes I get bored with investing podcasts. Yeah. JHBZ6DH says, did you sell RPMGlobal or not? Yes. I'm just confused if you said you sold both. I sold both, but I was willing to hold RPMGlobal for a little bit longer, simply because I sort of wanted them not to accept the takeover bid. But this is one of the reasons I actually did buy RPMGlobal was the very fact they were primed for a takeover target. They were a prime takeover target, but I just wanted a really strong bidding war, that sort of thing. And I was willing to ride the risk the share price might drop if the takeover bid was pulled, simply because in the future, I think RPMGlobal was going to grow. And eventually, if they did get a takeover bid, it was going to be higher than the one now. So that is one argument about accepting takeover bids, is that it's just a short-term sugar hit. There's a chance RPMGlobal could be 10 times bigger in 5 years. And you're going to miss most of that return because it took this short-term sugar hit. With AUB, I just sold that because I didn't think there was much opportunity for significant growth in the future. When I say significant, I'm talking about the growth we might see with RPMGlobal. So it's all different for all companies, but I'd say in 95% of occasions, I will sell out as soon as there is a takeover bid. RPMGlobal was one of those that I was reluctant to sell. AUB Group, not reluctant at all. Simon Investors would love your thoughts on BGD. You did briefly discuss some 6 months ago. You didn't look too closely, but you didn't like the chart. BGD, I'm trying to remember the company. Barton Gold. Okay. I don't know anything about this company except they're probably a gold. Are they a producer or just an explorer? I am assuming they are just an explorer. I could be completely wrong. What you could do if to verify that is just go to the cash flow report released on 31st of October. More than likely, $16,000. Well, I typically ignore when a company has receipts of $16,000. I just ignore that. That's not a lot. So I'm assuming they're just an explorer. So developer. Strategic first mover with permitted infrastructure, improvement capital structure. So if they were a producer, they would have mentioned it straight away. They would have said, we've produced this, et cetera, et cetera. Now, the question is, they might be going to production soon. I haven't seen anything yet. But they're a gold explorer, and this company's chart should look good. If the chart didn't look good, there would be questions. So, for example, yeah, chart looks really good. For example, Bellevue Gold. What's the ticker for Bellevue Gold? BGL. Oh, this chart's starting to look good now. Starting to look good. This would have been a nice little buy at about $1. Anyway, so the chart looks good for Barton Gold, and it should because, again, it's because gold prices. It's all based off gold prices. Nice chart. $294 million market cap. Yes, I like the chart. Now, I just hone in a little bit more. Yeah, I like the chart. It's beautiful. You can see the run up in share price dips, run up in share price dips. And it looks like the share price is trying to run up. We will need to see share price get above the previous highs. If it doesn't, that would be a little bit of a sort of like the first sign that maybe the trend is coming to an end. But if gold prices keep on going up, Barton Gold share price should keep on going up. Other than that, I don't know anything about the company. Oh, a lot here. VBED says, I quit my Treasury wines estate shares some time ago. Thank God. Any business selling wine has no future. The reason these days young people don't drink wine. Funny enough, I've read this now 3 times this week. Young people just aren't drinking wine anymore. Why are young people not drinking wine? Why is it just, why are young people not drinking wine? Young people not drinking wine. I don't drink wine. I have no interest in wine, but I have very little interest in alcohol. Wine feels old, formal, and complicated. So is it more of a trend? Is it more of a fad? And then eventually this fad will turn around and then wine becomes exciting to young people and then it becomes more popular. So is this a long-term thematic or is this just a little bit of a fad, short-term fad? Young drinkers say wine has too much jargon, feels like an old generation drink, comes with social pressure to know what you're talking about, isn't casual enough compared to beer, seltzers, and cocktails. It's intimidating, not fun, ready to drink, stole its market, health consciousness. Well, yeah, costs. TikTok culture shapes preferences. That's, well, it might be true, but that's, anyway. But this could change. Let's go into, if you really like wine, go onto TikTok and try to change everyone's appearance, everyone's thoughts on wine. They don't want to look stupid. Oh yeah, I do hate that when people are testing wine and they go, this has a bit of a black currant taste. And I just go, it tastes like wine. All wine tastes the same to me. That's just me. Anyway, yes, I am not cultured when it comes to wine. Anyway, my whole point about this was there is some truth that, yeah, young people aren't drinking wine, but it could change. It could change. You don't know. This could be a fad. Sort of like protein's a big fad right now. I was actually in America and there was what do you call them, waffles? And there was an ad. I was like, oh, we've put protein in our waffles. It's like, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I do think that the eating protein, well, not eating protein, but putting protein in everything is a bit of a fad right now. East Asia is supposed to pick up the slack, 400 million potential market plus India. China used to buy lots, but their economy is going backwards to 1990s. New world in China is in poverty. Domestic consumption of everything is very low in China. They've become a nation of savers. Workers, okay, now we're going into non-wine stuff. Anyway, so I sort of do agree with VB Ed because, again, I've heard it like 3 times in the past week that young people just aren't buying wine or drinking wine. Marion Elliott, is it possible, by the way, before we get to the next question, Treasury Wine's chart is an horrendous chart, and June B. Lee said it's a buy, and that for me is what was it in? It was live markets. What's it called again? If you go to market index, they'll have it here somewhere. Here we go. It's this one here. Buy, hold, sell 5 dogs of the ASX and their prospects for 2026. And Treasury Wine popped up. Was it first? Yes, it was first. And June Bean Lee says it's a buy. And then Hugh Dive says it's a sell. And I'm wondering if he mentioned young people aren't drinking wine anymore. No, he just says it's tough business. In fact, he says people are drinking a lot less wine, a lot less some of their bulk brands. So he says all people are drinking less wine. I'm not sure if that's absolutely true. If everyone, I would assume older people are still drinking the same amount of wine, but if they're dying off, yeah, that sort of makes sense as well. Okay. Well, Marion Elliott says, is it possible my trading platform played up as I thought I sold half my CPU shares, about 200 shares, but instead I bought 4,000 shares approximately? Is it possible I bought instead of selling? I felt I did everything right, but this was a costly mistake. This was with St. George Direct Shares. Has anyone had this happen to them? That has not happened to me before. However, it has happened to me where I've meant to sell my shares, but instead I bought shares just because I forgot to click on the sell button. That has happened to me before where I bought instead of sold. But that was my mistake. I have not had any problems with any of my platforms where I've meant to sell something and instead of bought. So there is a chance. But you said you wanted to sell 200, but you bought 4,000 instead. That is weird. Never happened to me before. If it has happened to you, maybe reply to this particular comment. And then if it has happened to you and you sort out the platform people and how to address it if it went wrong, there's no reason why the platform didn't make a mistake, but just be aware that sometimes the person, the human, in that case, me, I did make a mistake. I bought instead of selling. Can says, thoughts analysis on Sunrise Energy Metals, SRL, last 1 year chart. On 27th of June 2025, daily rundown, you mentioned it for the first time when it was $1.15. Let's have a look at just the chart. You just mentioned the chart, so nothing else. So I like this because I don't have to know anything about the company. Sunrise Energy Metals. So $1.15, there you go. So I mentioned it first in June. So share price, what day did I mention it? Let's have a look. You said 27th of June. Oh, at that point, the chart was looking really good. And share price was about $1 or so. What did you say it was? $1.15. And since then, well, share price has gone from $1.15 to $7.68. There you go. Wowza, look at the volume. Look at the volume. This is what you want to see. Really big volume coming in just before then April. So just before June. And then I found it I did not trade this at all. I sort of wish I had now. And the chart has not looked bad since. Now, there was a period here for about 2 months where the share price did nothing. A little bit of volatility in there, but then all of a sudden, share price has taken off and the volume has increased as well over the last few days. So chart still looks good. Why would you be selling out of this just now? There's no reason. That's what I'll be saying to anyone holding this. There's no reason to be selling out. And I can almost guarantee you, there would be people who bought maybe at 25 cents who have completely sold out by now. And some of them would have sold out, say, at $1. Oh, what an absolute profit I've made. And they're kicking themselves now. So there's no reason to have sold out of this just now. Now, there was a day when the share price dropped 17%. So there would have been some people panicking at that point. And I would probably put, if the share price dropped below sort of that level, like $4, that would be a sell. But the share price is almost double that right now. But that would be sort of my sellout point if things went pear-shaped. In fact, you could even raise that to this level, so almost $6. But there would be, some volatility when it comes to this company. So beautiful chart for Sunrise Energy Metals. Fishball, who I've already answered that. What speed do you listen to your podcast? But he also asked, if you see a profit upgrade from a company and it jumps up big, do you have a rule for it? Sell because of the massive jump or hold because sentiment has changed? Check out EHL chart, many green days in the last month, even the market was down. No. If a company raises a profit upgrade and share price jumps, no way would I sell. And a lot of people do sell. No way will I sell. In fact, I'm more likely to buy than sell. More likely to buy, but it's different for all situations. So no way I would sell. It's a good news story. In fact, my own research has shown that more than likely that company will outperform the market over the next 6 months. Again, more than likely the company will outperform the market over the next 6 months. Over the next 9 or 12 months, it becomes a little bit more up in the air, and that's because it's 6 to 12 months. But the new information changes the market's perception of the company. And it takes a long time for the new information to get through the market. So now, just because I say that doesn't mean the share price of a company or of all companies that release a profit upgrade will increase, but I would say 80% do. Check out EHL chart. This is definitely on my watch list. Share price just keeps on going up. It's a beautiful chart. It's a beautiful chart. In fact, the breakout for this one happened in August, 22nd of August. The share price got above $1. And look at this is a beautiful setup. Share price broke out at $1 or above $1. Share price then went sideways for about 3 weeks. From 22nd of August to the 12th of September, share price just went sideways. That's a beautiful setup. When you see the share price breaking out and then the share price goes sideways. And then the share price has continued to go up since then. It's gone up to $1.36. I do like the chart. I would prefer some bigger volume coming through, but the chart is beautiful. Beautiful chart. And not trading it. Well, why am I not trading it? It was definitely on my watch list as a trade, but I don't always buy companies on my watch list. Hutcho says Mayfield Group is killing it. Share price did drop a fair bit the other day. I'm assuming that is people who... Oh, and it recovered. Oh, it's a lot of volatility. So it didn't really drop. Ew, it only dropped 3%. Share price. Oh, yeah, yeah. So there was a day here, the Wednesday, I had a look at the worst losers, and Mayfield Group was down 10%. And I thought there was going to be a bad day here. But there was a big rally in the share price during trading on the 3rd of December. And in fact, you can just see in the one-day candlestick. But the chart is still a beautiful chart. Let's have a look at the 1-minute chart. You'll be able to see the share price drop a lot on Wednesday's session. Here it is. Yeah, the share price dropped almost on open. And then there was a rally, and then the share price dropped at midday, and then there's a massive rally in the share price for the next 2 hours. In fact, the share price went from $2.40 back up to almost $3 during afternoon trading on Wednesday. Volume as well. Look at the volume. There's beautiful volume. So this is one of the companies I do own, and again, there's no reason to even think about selling this. Anyway, yeah, so you're right. Mayfield Group is killing it. Love your show. Any chance of looking at tungsten stocks, in particular EQR? I think tungsten is the next rare earth. Funny enough, I do have a list of potential small cap mining trades, and EQR is one of those companies. There you go. So it's one of those companies, mostly mining, not all mining, but EQR is one of those. And it's all based off some news flow from the company, and also the chart looks good. And share price down 4.62%. I'm actually more likely to buy this as a trade now with the share price falling. They also did a couple raising on the 5th, which was, that was yesterday. So that's why the share price is down a little bit. But that's good. They've raised 34 million. So it won't have to go back to the market for a while. Let's have a look at the chart. I don't know nothing about tungsten. It could be the next rare earth or whatever. It could be. So I just focus on the chart for these ones. And the chart looks really good. And why do I like this chart? 2 things. Share price has turned up. Definitely the trend has changed. But look at the volume. Look at the volume. Volume started to increase just before the share price turned up. And I have read this now a few times, that a lot of times volume precedes price action. So we started to see the volume increase. And then about a month later, the share price started to turn up. So if we just look at volume, maybe we can find those potential breakout candidates just based on volume. And the volume has continued to increase. I do like this chart for EQR. In fact, I'm putting this onto my... So I have this little buy list, or not a buy list, it's candidates. Put it that way, it's a candidates. And I think EQR has almost graduated to my buy list. Almost. I'll have to think about it a little bit more. Let's have a look. EQR. I'm wondering if I do like when they have little presentations, when they do an announcement. So they raise at 5 cents. Let's use the proceeds, repayment of trade payables, repayment of convertible notes, partial payment of loan facility, advancement of Mount Carbine operation to access high-grade low-length. What the hell is that? Low-length. Just shows you I know nothing. Oh, it's a play. Opera. It's a satirical comic opera by Gilbert and Sutherland. Or is this just the mine's name? Is that the mine's name? Is it? I don't know. I've never heard of that before. Leading global tungsten mining company. They have operations in North Queensland and Spain. Otherwise, I know nothing about the company, except the chart looks pretty good right now. Thank you, Hutcho. In fact, your little comment and me having a closer look has graduated EQR from my one list to the next list, from my candidates to potential buy. VBEd says the most undervalued stock of the ASX is Horizon Oil. Either I've done this question before, or I had a look at Horizon Oil, because I remember looking at Horizon Oil not that long ago. So either I've answered this before, or I've had a recent look at this company. Dividend yield is whopping 15.36%. It has always had a very high dividend yield. A few months ago, it announced that it has acquired a new oil-producing asset. The share price may look like it is permanently locked in a narrow trading range, but when you look at it over the passage of years, it is on a slow upward trajectory. What is your take on the stock? Is this stock a diamond in the dirt? And Just Acronym says, congrats. Horizon Oil. So I do remember the chart. Yeah, it's just like a really slow grind upwards. Have a look at the weekly chart, not the daily chart. In fact, I put this uptrend line here. So yeah, over the last 5 years, share price has gone from 6 cents to 20 cents. That's tripled over a 5-year period. You are willing to take those returns. And you can see it's a beautiful uptrend. I'm wondering if these big drops in share prices have been the occasions when the company's gone ex-dividend. You can see it dropping a fair bit, like in August 2021, down 25%, October 2022, down 22%, October 2024, 15%, and 13th of October, that makes sense, another 9%. And now would be a time to buy because the share price, they've gone ex-dividend, now would be the time to buy at 20 cents. Dividend yield is 15%. Now the question becomes, Horizon Oil, have they always had a dividend? Is this just a recent thing? Now you did mention VBED. They've always had a very high dividend yield, but has this been an ongoing thing? Now, CommSec does have a dividend history thing here. So it goes back, it only goes back to 2022. So they've had a really high dividend the last few years. Yeah. I don't, other than that, I know nothing. I can't remember. I remember looking at this company, but I can't remember much else. I do like, if you have a look at the most recent activities report, maybe they've got some information here. So they should have some cash flow, hopefully. Do they have an Appendix 5B? No, they don't. Production revenue increased 19.2% to 26.7 million. Net operating cash flow for the quarter increased 21.9% to $17 million. And cash operating costs actually reduced below. So they've increased their revenue, cash flow, and decreased their costs. Cash reserves, 46 million. Net debt position of 2 million. So they still have a bit of a net debt, but that's okay. And I don't know anything about this acquisition. This could be another one of those, I think, cheap oil plays that I think you might get in the long term, might get a nice return, but a lot of that will be dividends, but may not be, even at capital, I don't mind, the dividends are nice, but also a tripling price. I'm not sure if the share price will triple over the next 5 years, but I think with the dividends, you might have really nice returns, maybe 20% returns, maybe with dividends. Yeah, anyway. I'm going to have a closer look at Horizon. I'm putting this into my research list. Horizon. Thank you, VBAD, because I haven't really looked at Horizon Oil for a while. I wasn't sure if there was another comment or from you maybe in the past, but I definitely had a look at Horizon Oil some time ago, but I'll have a closer look. Sideburns or Sidburns, hi Kneppy, have a look at Etherstack, pulled back from recent good news. This was also on my list because the chart was looking good. The news flow from the company was really good. And so directors have been buying on market, possible buy the dip situation. Let's have a look. I do like that the directors have been buying. So this is one thing I should have a look at more when directors are buying or insiders are buying. So look at that. Change of directors interest. David Deacon has been buying, looks like. Let's have a look. He bought 23,000 shares the other day. It's may not seem a lot, but he does own a lot, 47 million shares. Jeez. But let's have a look at the chart for Etherstack. They've been releasing some really good news flow. And if the share price has pulled back, well, that's the weekly chart. Yeah, it does look like share price has pulled back. So share price ran up to about 80 cents, has pulled back to 60. And it looks like it's starting to turn the corner. There was a nice day on the 28th of November where there was a little bit of buying coming in. So the really big volume coming in that day. And the low on that day was almost 50 cents. Maybe it was exactly 50 cents. And then we saw people coming in. So that was sort of the bottom potentially. I would like to see a little bit more volume coming in the last few days, but nice chart for Etherstack. They haven't released anything sensitive for a while now. Yeah, they did a placement on the 18th of November. The trading update and guidance was pretty good on the 11th, and I'm pretty sure the share price went up that day. I think I talked about Etherstack on that day. Share price, or maybe it was the 7th of November, share price went up 20%. But I definitely mentioned this company sometime at that point. And the share price has pulled back. You're right, Sid Bones. It's a possible buy the dip situation. Just acronym, please review the chart for Sonic Healthcare. Okay, I like these ones. Just look at the chart. Sonic Healthcare. Ooh, that's right. The share price popped up on the 20th of November. I'm pretty sure this was a really positive, maybe not really. It was a positive, was a trading update, AGM trading update, that sort of thing. Let's have a look. On the 20th. Yep, positive update at the AGM. And if I remember correctly, their update was better than expected. And that's why the share price popped up. The only problem is there's a lot of overhang of shares or supply of shares in the market. The reason I say that is because a lot of shareholders bought at higher prices and they're wanting to get out. And the good thing is we haven't seen a lot of selling coming in. The reason I say that, the share price popped up, but the share price hasn't pulled any lower. Share price has gone sideways. That's a good sign that maybe the low is in for Sonic Healthcare, and maybe this is the turnaround for the company. On the weekly chart, if you've got a bit of a different time frame, the chart looks bad, but if you equate this company as a high quality company, now's the time to buy. In fact, before 2022, you would have said this was a high quality company, maybe. Anyway, so maybe some value, and I don't mind the very fact that we haven't seen much selling the last few days. Well, there was a bit of selling on the 3rd of December. It was only down 1.95%. Okay. Ben Hutchinson asked, did you see Cosol today? No. Up 19% on no news. No idea why it's not a penny resource stock. And then Just Acronym says huge volume. Somebody building up a takeover position. Now, Cosol share price had been dropping and dropping and dropping. I was thinking, gee, there might be some value here. So even though the chart looks terrible, I'm wondering, there might be some value. Yeah, share price got as low as 40 cents. And that was not that long ago, like last week. And the share price popped up on Wednesday. So I was thinking at 40 cents, there might be some value. So P ratio is about 10. Market cap is 86 million. But the chart is terrible. Chart is terrible. And there was some big volume coming on that day. Let's have a look to see if there was any sort of substantial holding announcement. No, there wasn't. So maybe Just Acronym is right. Maybe there is someone building up a position. Or maybe it was just oversold and there was just a bounce. We haven't seen much buying coming in the following 2 days. This could be just a continuation of the downtrend, just a dead cat bounce. We see that a lot. You can see it happening in June. Share price dropped a lot, and then there was a big update on the 23rd. Share price up 15%, but that was not the time to get in because share price has gone lower. But I do think there's possibility of some value in that company. Just say possibility. Sensei says might be worth to keep a lookout on Omega Oil and Gas OMA, as they seem to have found some potential oil gas interroom, 500 kilometers northwest of Noosa. Watch Elixir Energy and White Energy, who are all involved in that area in these early stages. So I don't know anything about these companies. So again, nothing at all. Omega Oil and Gas share price has rallied. It's all over the place. A lot of volatility in this one, just based off the share price movement from day to day. Let's have a look at the chart. I don't know anything about the companies, so there's no point trying to dive deeply. So Omega acquires 19.4% equity interest in Elixir Energy. So there's already some interest between these companies, isn't there? Omega, along with Neo Resource Fund, to invest a further combined $2.68 million in a conditional tranche 2 placement subject to Elixir shareholder approval. Okay, let's have a look at the chart of these companies. I just want to see what the chart looks like. Is there increased interest in these companies? So Omega Oil and Gas, so daily chart looks okay. Weekly chart, I think, is going to look much better. I don't mind this weekly chart. Markup is about $200 million, and share price has pulled back a little bit. It looks like it's bouncing off the moving averages down there. So that's okay. I think it has found the low, which would be about 32 cents. So it's a meager. And the other two were Elixir and White Energy. EXR. Is this any different? Let's have a look. Oh, that's a little bit different. This is a beautiful turnaround. Something bad happened to this company on the 8th of October 2024. Share price dropped 59%. Wowzers. But sentiment has shifted. Trend has changed. And definitely the trend in this company shifted towards the end of November, and the share price has taken off. I'd like to see the share price sort of dip back to, say, 5.5 cents. Or maybe 6 cents. That'd be a nice little point. It does look like there's been a little bit of selling the last few days, but it's okay. But definitely I like this chart for Elixir Energy. Markup of this company, no idea. $125.97 million. The other one was White Energy, WEC. And this one, ooh, nothing. But look at the volume, this peak in volume. But I'd like to see some more volume coming in, because we had some big volume coming in May 2024. So 1 day of volume, okay. But keep an eye on White Energy, and market cap is 13 million, so a much smaller company. Jack says, can you please do a charts on Mika, Grange, and Core Lithium? Yes. In fact, I'm trading or holding two of these companies, including Mika Metals. This is a longer term hold. I bought a 9.4 cents. Initially, it was more of a trade, and now it's more of just a longer term hold, just to see. But I think I'll probably sell out of this if I see the trend changing and sentiment starting to become a little bit more negative. But I've had no reason to sell out of this position just yet. No reason. In fact, I might raise my sell price to, say, 18 cents. So if I raise it to 19 cents, that means I've doubled my money. Anyway, chart looks good. I like the chart. The volume subtly has been coming lower, it's decreasing, but that's okay. And again, it's all dependent on gold, mostly for Mika Metals. The other one was Galan Resources. This one turned positive not that long ago, and I'm wondering if it's still positive. Yes, it is still positive. So definitely shift in sentiment and trend in this one back in August, and trend has continued to go up. So I do like this chart for Galan Resources, even though I'm not sure the iron ore prices are going up, but I could be wrong with that. But definitely sentiment and trend in this company has shifted more to positive. And the other one was Core Lithium. Well, I am trading this one. This one's nice. So this is one of my lithium plays right now. We have seen the share price not really rally all that much over the last few weeks, but I needed to take a breather, and it's done that. And we saw the recent record price on the 20th of November, and then we saw the highest volume the next day, and the volume has gone down a fair bit with the share price going sideways. And it's just needed to take a breather because the share price ran up a lot. I became interested in Core Lithium again on the 14th of May. They released something positive. It's just taken a while. It's just taken a while for the sentiment to come through the rest of the market, and it hasn't hurt that lithium prices have gone up as well. So charts for all those look pretty good. Just Acronym says, NIB Holding is down again. You still have. I don't. I sold out of my NIB Holdings because the chart told me to. Not directly. The chart didn't scream out to me, sell, but the chart told me to sell. So I sold at the start of the week. And the reason I sold, we had a moving average crossover, and I was like, yeah, I don't see much positive momentum anymore in this. And I sold, and share price has gone down 3 days in a row. I'm glad I sold out of that position. So it's one of, I think I sold out of 3. I sold out of that one. Oh no, I sold out of this one and bought Laser Bond. That's right. And I sold out of a couple of more, but I forget which ones those were. I usually write them down, but I wrote down this one and then Laser Bond, but both in my sell. Okay, so no longer holding that, which is good. I was only in it for the trade. Trade went against me. Chart told me to sell. Ben Hutchison, oh, this is it. The Hillgrove. Hillgrove seems to have been left behind in the recent copper bull run and is looking cheap if they can just operate the mine without surprises. But they've been horrible investments so far, many setbacks and dilutive capital raises. So there's a lot of negative sentiment to overcome. Yeah, so I'm part of that negative sentiment. I'll be honest, I did own Hillgrove. I thought, oh, this is a nice little small copper play. And then they just disappointed me a few times in a row. And I haven't really been following the company lately. And this probably belongs in my copper list. copper watch list that I've created. Share price down 5.6%. Have they released anything recently? Talking about All Reserve, Appendix 5B. I can't remember if I looked at this. So I was going through all these Appendix 5Bs really quickly. They were operating cash flow positive. I do remember looking at this going, oh, this seems like a better quarter for the company because they were operating cash flow positive. Oh, that's right. But they were free cash flow negative because they spent $11 million on property, plant, and equipment. So they're still burning through cash. So even though they're operating cash flow positive, free cash flow negative. Let's have a look at the chart for Hillgrove. And I also can put this into my copper watch list. So add to copper. There we go. And the chart, nothing. This chart it still looks bad. So I bought this. I can't remember when. And then I just sold because the chart looked bad and I didn't like. But in saying all that, look at the volume. Look at the really big volume since September. The volume has really expanded in the last year. Now, that could be because there's way more shares on issue, which is a problem because you're going to get a lot of people trading this now. But this has the potential, if it does break out, I wouldn't be surprised to see this go on a really good run. Hillgrove Resources. I'm going to put this into my my to watch list. Thank you, Ben, because I probably would have looked at Hillgrove for a while if I didn't get this comment from Ben. VB8 is getting disillusioned with the stocks on the ASX. Lately, virtually every company is posting lackluster results or returns or results lower than what was expected, and I'm getting slaughtered. The Australian market shows no mercy. I'm thinking it's time to start focusing more on foreign stocks, which is another reason why I tend to like trading more, because you take advantage of any sort of good news flow. For instance, what's a good, like laser bond? Let's see. Well, laser bond's still to play out. Actually, no, let's have a look at some of my trades. This is a perfect example of me just taking advantage of really good news flow and just holding these companies for the longest time. Let's have a look. So let's go to my trades. And what's a good example here? Ampol's one. So trend started to change. They released some good news. I just bought a position. Share price has gone up. For this company, it's gone up 10, 20%. It's a pretty nice return for that sort of company. Cobra Estate released something really nice. So I just took a position. Chart's starting to look a little bit more negative now, but that's okay. I will sell if the chart tells me. City Chic, this is one. I bought at 9.7 cents. They released something really positive, I thought, on the 28th of August. Must have been results. It's taken a while for the share price to take off. I had to be really patient with this one, but it took a while. Challenger. I bought in because I thought they released something really good. It was a bit of a risky buy because the chart wasn't looking good at that point. Then the share price broke out not long after. They must have released something really good on that day, 17th of April. Share price has gone up significant since then. Cogstate, another perfect example. Bought on a little breakout on some good news, share price has gone up. So I have got a lot of examples of shares or companies I've been trading and share prices have gone up because of good news. So instead of holding companies and being disappointed by the results and keep on holding them, it's another example of why trading can be beneficial, because all you're doing is holding companies that have released something good. The share price has taken off. Genesis Plus, lots of tailwinds behind this company. I bought $1.39 almost 2 years ago. I haven't even thought about selling this trading position just yet. So this is one of my longest trading positions. Share price has gone from $1.39 to $6.50 or $6.30. The other really long trade I've had is, where's Shape? Oh, this is in alphabetical order. Another one, Shape. I bought this, some positive news, shift in trend in share price, $1.86, share price now $6.08. In fact, this might be my longest, almost 2 years again. Yeah, and so I'm really, Simmel. Here's another one, Simmel. This is one of my recent trades. I bought at 217. This wasn't on any good news. This was just a shift in sentiment and trend. I thought maybe I was a little bit too late I thought maybe the share price could dip a little bit. The share price has gone from 217 to 293 without any news flow, just because trend and the volume, increase in volume the last few weeks as well. Anyway, so I am really arguing of the benefits of technical analysis or charting, because then you don't become disillusioned because the chart tells you what to do. But I sort of understand what you're talking about, and it's another reason why a lot of my long-term holds are now American-based companies, because those are the ones that are in the growth areas, and a lot of Australian companies aren't in those growth areas. Happy Now says, a tough gig indeed. Some people seemingly make every right decision and never have a bad buy. Yet, like yourself, some are getting slaughtered. It's been a tough year. Little alone, a tough last few months for many people and families and companies. Where Just Acronym says we're heading to recession. Companies are struggling to make more money than PCP. I'm assuming you're not talking about drugs. What is PCP? Phenicillin. Angel dust. I'm pretty sure you're not talking about angel dust, but previous corresponding period. I would have said, I don't think we're heading to recession. I think America is, and they could lead us into recession. But I'm not sure about us, because we have had some good economic news. But my mind has shifted a little bit in the last week. Trader Hooper, for anyone interested, we currently have 54 market-sensitive announcements today. Yeah, it's been really quiet in terms of announcements. Really, really quiet. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm being biased. Let's have a look. Market sensitive. Come on, just update ComSec. ComSec sometimes just, you do filters and it just, there we go, 78. Now, the problem with this 78, sometimes you get all these little one-offs like a quarterly rebalance, and that's a lot of announcements. You can see a lot of announcements, so that's misleading, 78. So, and also ComSec doubles up. It's stupid. I hate ComSec how it does this. It doubles up. There wasn't that many announcements about a quarterly rebalance. In fact, there was, you can see there was about 24. Anyway, so not a lot of announcements and only 78. If we go back, let's have a look at this time last year, if we can. Let's go back to this time last year. Let's go to Friday, the 6th of December. Let's see how many announcements there were, price-sensitive announcements there were, if it works. That did not work. It went back for like a split second and then went back to today. Don't do anything. 94. In fact, if you have a look at this week last year, there was these rebalances, but even if you take those away, there were more announcements. So we're talking about, I would say 536, 43, 37, 531 price-sensitive announcements. And if we go back 531, write that down, 531 during the whole week. And if we go back to today, 5:30 this week, just take your time. No need to rush, ComSec. I can keep on recording. It's just, oh God. Oh, has it changed yet? And actually, we had quite a few, because Monday and Wednesday, there were quite a few. 248, 33, 32, 510. So last year there was 531. This year there was 510 during this week. Okay, it does seem like it was really light on when it comes to more powerful type of announcements. Anyway, so 54 market-sensitive announcements today before that rebalancing ones. On 30th October, which is a hectic day, being the last day for quarterly reporting, 549. Yeah, that's true. Definitely quiet day today. I thought there were some announcements. SKK, yes, NextDC, NWH, but their share prices didn't move much at all. That's true. In fact, if you have a look at SKK, I had a look at this one because this is definitely a company I'm interested in as a trade. The share price has pulled back a fair bit. Share price opened up about 4.1 cents, and there was a bit of selling coming in. And the reason there's a bit of selling is because there would be some shareholders significantly underwater because they bought at higher prices in the past, and the announcement wasn't quite strong enough for the share price to rally there wasn't enough buyers. And I sort of understand that, even though I do think it was a good announcement. So SK Stack, they've been releasing really good announcements recently. It was an agreement with Panakia Financial, and I've never heard of Panakia, but they are a division of Primis Banks, Primis. And I thought, oh, it's a NASDAQ listed bank. And I'm just wondering how big Primis is. So I went to TradingView, I put in their ticker code, and then I had a look at the markup, and I went, $288 million markup. It's not like a $288 billion company. So probably not as powerful an announcement as what you might think. And that's, I think, why the share price didn't rally as much. And finally, Vin Hilly says, or asks, do you own AI NASDAQ stock ticker code PATH? No. In fact, I might have heard of it, but I can't remember. In your list of stocks, I'm following your principles and rules and thought this one might interest you after the best results yesterday. PATH. Let me have a look. Sometimes I'll know the company. Oh, yeah, uiPath. Yes, I know. Actually, I know uiPath. I just didn't know the ticker code. This is definitely, just based off the chart, definitely on my radar. Markup is 9.91 billion. So this company is a real company. Now, I can't remember if I've looked at this company before. In fact, I'm not even sure if this is in my watch list. I definitely know about uiPath, however they're pronounced. uiPath, I don't know. No, it's none of my watch lists. What I might do, I'll put it into, here we go. I like the chart. I can't remember what they do, but I definitely remember the name. Let's have a look. Go to the overview in TradingView. Provides an end-to-end automation platform that offers a range of robotic process automation solutions, primarily in the United States. Okay, so again, this company definitely does interest me because of what they're doing. Revenue growth, 33.6% over the last 5 years. Earnings per share growth is negative, but more than likely this is, or if they're not profitable, they've just become profitable. Gross margins, 83.4%. Operating margins, 1.5%. Again, gross profits, really high. Gross margins, really high. But operating margins, really low, because if this company is profitable, they've just become profitable. And return equity, return invested capital, negative over the last 5 years. Again, more than likely, if this company is profitable, they've just become profitable. Let's have a look at the financials. Just a quick look. I love to look at revenue. Beautiful growth in revenue over the last 5 years. Exactly. In fact, revenue has gone up fivefold. And let's have a look at profit. If I've got it here, where is it? Oh, net income, sorry. And it looks like they've just become profitable. Just become profitable. Now, you can actually split this into quarters. Let's see if they've got the last quarter. So it's up and down. They had a really nice quarter. Look, I'm not sure if this is the most recent quarter. Now, because did they release results just the other day? If you go to dashboard, no, I'm doing this wrong. Path. If you go to investor relations, hopefully they've got it up. Yep, they do. So here we go. They've got the transcript, report, and slides. Sometimes I do cheat and just have a look at slides. So revenue, 411 million. Annual recurring revenue, 1.782 billion. Operating income, 88 million. Revenue growth year over year, 16%. AR, 11%. Operating margins, 21%. This does look interesting, and the chart looks interesting as well. Here we go. So I do like these sort of little graphs. And guidance, they've got guidance. So significant increase in revenue and ARR. So they're looking at significant growth from this quarter or last quarter to this quarter. So from 411 to 462. So over 10% growth in revenue quarter on quarter. And I could definitely see why the share price went up a lot the other day. Up 24.4%, and it has broken out, hasn't it? Weekly chart. Yeah, so this is one of those companies whose valuation was really high, pre-interest rates rising. Share price collapsed because they were not profitable. Now they've looked like they've hit that inflection point. And look at the volume. Look at the weekly chart and the volume coming in the last few months. This is a good sign. Oh, path. has been included. What's it called? uiPath. Thank you for that, Vin Healy. This definitely has piqued my interest. And that's all I have for today's video. If you have any questions, any thoughts, leave those in the comment section of this video. Otherwise, I'm not a financial advisor. If you need financial advice, make sure you seek out someone who is qualified and can speak to your own financial needs. That's it for this video. Have a good day. Bye.